Hello everybody and welcome to this little bonus video, this director's commentary, if you like, of my Dragon Age Origins Let's Play. This is a bonus video, you don't have to watch it, but if you haven't watched the entire LP and you plan to, and you sort of stumbled across this is be full of spoilers about everything that has happened within the Let's Play, because what I'm going to do is just talk through some of the major occurrences which happened within the game, the thoughts I had behind it, reminisce a little bit, and just, you know, go through encompassing what I felt about the game and how I think things went and what I was trying to do with the character and stuff like that. So hopefully we're only going to limit this to about half an hour or so, quite a lot to cover. This was an idea of Clamfaced, a user called Clamfaced, who said, you know, why don't you do this at the end of the LP? And I thought, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. We are looking at DragonAgeKeep.com, which lets you store and alter save game states for the Dragon Age Origins games. So if I was to click here, you would see that you can do that for any of the 3 games so far. And so it lets you like change things without actually playing the game. And also lets you input your saves, which is what I'm doing or have been doing. So that, you know, if you lose or, you know, misplace your save game, you can get it back off this. So, firstly, I just want to say, because at the end of Witch Hunt I had to end rather quickly, and I've said it before, but I'll say it again, it was an absolute joy and privilege to have you guys watch me play this game. Thank you very, very much. If you managed to stick with me all the way through, I do really appreciate it. I know a lot of you did, and many of you watched most of it. I know there were a few casualties on the way, but for those of you who did make it through and watched the entire series, which was a hell of an epic feat in itself, thank you very, very much for joining me as we joined Variax the Mage in his trials and tribulations in Ferelden. When I first sort of like approached this game, I didn't know anything about the story, the characters, the plot, what it was about at all, really. And just to, like, you know, I'll say it now, it's probably the best time to say it. It's very difficult to roleplay a character, especially a character that you want to have change and alter and have like a character arc, in a game that you don't know like how long it is or what the story is, what's going to happen. It's very difficult to pace that. And to be quite honest, I think I did pretty well in doing that. When we first met Variax, the first thing that I decided he was going to be, regardless of what happened, was quite a cocky, surefire, you know, quick-thinking sort of guy, very confident, witty. And for the first couple of episodes, that's what he was, until pretty early on, he was taken out of what he knew, what was comfortable, the circle of Magi, and thrust into this world that he probably had no experience of, apart from maybe in books, and thrown with loads of heaps of responsibility on his shoulder that he never thought he would have to deal with. And that's why at the very start, after Ostagar, we got this very cagey, very careful Grey Warden who made some very interesting decisions, and we'll get to those as we enter the Companions tab here, which a lot of you disagreed with, but at the time I felt that my character would have done that, because he was, you know, he was terrified really of what suddenly had happened to his life and where he was. And then as we go through it, he gets his confidence back, he starts talking to Liliana, you know, and he starts getting a little bit more brash, starts to get more confident in his role as a Grey Warden, and eventually as the Grey Warden commander, until finally at the end, within Awakening, he becomes the commander. And he is a leader, he has been through so much, made so many tough decisions that when it comes to the toughest decision, he makes it, he knows he's right in his head, and so that's what he does. And so that's his sort of arc, you know, he confident, not very confident, finally gets confidence, and then confident. Obviously it's a little bit more than that, but that's basically what happened within his story, and I hope you guys got that. That was what I was trying to do. But of course, as I say, when you don't have any idea about the game at all, it's very difficult to work out when and how to do certain bits, especially since I was doing it on the fly. You know, that whole confidence drop when he met Duncan and left the Tower of the Magi was completely ad-lib. You know, I thought, right, this is, you know, how he would react to that. Pretty early call, but it seemed to work pretty well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the major choices within the game. I'm going to go through these in order and just explain a bit about sort of like where we were within that era of the game and why I made some of the choices I did. Now, when I say in order, it might not be completely in order of how I did it within the LP because it was a long LP and a lot happened in it. So if I do one bit before the other, I do apologize. That is probably going to happen, to be honest with you. But yeah, it'll be about right. It'll be about right. And this tab here, the companions tab, is all over the place because that's just everything about all the companions. So that's going to come in about halfway through after the main game. I've written it all down. So here we go with the prologue. I don't think there's a lot in this. There's only these two. I don't actually remember the Ostagar prisoner at all. I'm assuming I left him alone because at this stage my character, as I say, had lost a load of confidence. He was thrust into this world that I knew nothing about, and suddenly, you know, he was a Grey Warden. There was a blight. There's demons and monsters everywhere, and Darkspawn. So he was really focusing on himself and staying alive, which is why, despite the saying curing the Mabari Hound, when he came across Bounder for the first time, he didn't help him. An interesting thing here as well is that I got some criticism from somebody a little bit later on than this about my playstyle and how I was missing certain things, and I did explain that while I'm trying to, you know, roleplay this character, I just feel that he wouldn't do that quest or, you know, take this companion, and the reply came, well, yeah, but what do your viewers get out of that? And this was a perfect example of what people do get out of it, because a lot of people didn't know that if you don't cure the Marabi Hound straight away in Ostagar, you can still rescue him. He joins you later in the road if you manage to pick up the healing herbs. A lot of people didn't know that. We're like, wow, you know, I didn't know that happened. So that's just something, a little example of something that can happen if you play the game a little bit of a different way, you know, non-standard. But yeah, at that time he didn't help the Hound because he was really just focusing on himself. Maybe a little bit selfish, but, you know, when you're thrown into a situation that you know nothing about and, you know, you're very green and very nervous, you don't tend to stick your neck out. Well, he didn't, at least, you know. Some people would have, obviously, but my character was just sort of out for himself, trying to survive, get his head around what was happening, so he didn't want to involve himself with this and that. So that was that. Then, the next one on the list is the Isle of Redcliffe, which was a lot of fun. Really, really liked this part. This is where he began to, you know, actually take decisions. Helping the people at Redcliffe wasn't really a tough decision. You know, they're beset by undead. We need their help, so we helped them. The Connor thing was very interesting. And we had Isolde sacrifice herself. I don't know about these two. I forget about them, but I didn't really fill them anyway. It doesn't really matter. We're focusing on the main bits, which is helping Redcliffe and the whole Connor demon thing. And yeah, I got some comments about this. We had three major choices really when it came to this, because we had Joan with us as well at this point, and this was with the whole blood magic thing. But the three choices were to kill the boy and thus expel the demon, kill his mother as a sacrifice to save the boy, which she was quite willing to do, sacrifice herself, it says here, or go back to the circle, get help, and then come back and then fight the demon. Didn't like that last choice purely because of the logistics of it. We've already got this demon boy who has raised an army of the undead and besetting and, you know, besieging the entire town with these monstrosities. So leaving and coming back for me wasn't really an option. It's like, well, why would you do that? You know, you come back and the town's completely wiped out and it's too late. I mean, that could have happened in the writing. It probably didn't, but it could have done. So I felt that was the wrong choice at that time. So we decided to have Isolde sacrifice herself because she was like, please let me sacrifice myself for my son. And we went along with that. by using blood magic. It was the only way out, really, other than killing the child. But I think the mother's plea really spoke to Variax's heart, and he didn't really have the heart to kill her son. So in the end, that's sort of what happened. And that's when, you know, the thing about blood magic started to wane in his head a little bit. And that's, you know, we do end up using it a little bit later on, a lot later on. But we still, like, don't really like it, and, you know, kill a lot of evil blood mages in this. But in that instance, it was an ends to a means. So that's that, I suppose. So that's Red Cliff. Then I believe we sort of like headed on to the Broken Circle, which is where? There. I think I got the best results here. The mages supported us in the end. Irvin survived, and we didn't agree to Cullen's request to slay everybody, because they were probably, you know, childhood people, the people we'd known for, you know, years. So why would we kill everybody? You know, we wouldn't. So in the end, we got the support of the mages, which was a major thing for me, because we used them in the final fight against the Archdemon, and I really liked that, how we it all, you know, all came full circle, if you like, where, you know, our childhood friends, the people we knew, you know, came and helped us in our hour of need, because we didn't leave in best terms with them, but it was like, you know, we came back, we saved them, and then they, I wouldn't say saved us, but they certainly helped us in the last fight. So I really like that sort of like that closure with the mages, and I'm glad that I managed to, I think, get basically the best results in the Circle Tower, because this is, you know, where Variax has the most emotional connection, because this is the only place he's ever known. This is his home. So to be able to save that, save Irving, and not kill all the mages, thank you, Cullen, was you know, probably the best thing for him. So I think that really helped him a lot to gain a lot of confidence. So there's Broken Circle. And I think we did the Urn of Sacred Ashes around here, though this was more or less not really quite a major side quest, but I don't think it might have been, don't know whether it was required for the, I think it was, yes, it was required, because we had to go and get this for the Isle of Redcliffe, didn't we? Although, we didn't poison it, no, we didn't, but yeah, that was part of that anyway, so that was part of the Redcliffe thing, so that's fair enough. Warden's Keep, somewhere around here as well, where we get our base of operations. I don't think I filled this in. I didn't give him the Power of Blood. I didn't realize that you only had that one chance to do it, because what I thought was perhaps I could drink it later when we were very it's like desperate, when desperate times, maybe when we were actually going to dinner for the last time to fit the Archdemon or whatever, I might have drunk the concoction, but it turns out that I had that one chance and that was it, I think. Also, I believe here we'll let Avernus, yeah, continue his research. I believe we did that, because we might have respected him as a mage, but this had, I would say, very little to do in terms of role-playing. This was just an ends to the means sort of thing, that we got a base of operations, so that was all good. Then we might have headed into Denerim, although this does seem to be a load of side quests, so I haven't really touched on this very much at all, to be honest with you. The only thing that we really did here was to help Alistair find Goldana. Again, getting into the companions now, which we haven't really touched on yet. I'm more or less doing the main game in terms of like plot. But yes, we helped Alistair find Goldana, although that was very underwhelming for him. I don't know if that was anything that I had anything to do with, or whether it was the timing or what. We also sent Marjolaine away for, what was her name? Liliana, that's it. You know, that was part of Liliana's sort of like story. But yeah, we sent her away. But yeah, very little sort of in Denerim apart from side quests. Did we head over to the dwarves? I think we did the Stone Prisoner, although I am going to leave that until within the companions, which I'll do sort of at the end of the main game, and then we'll do the witch hunt and the awakening thing. So yes, then we went to do the Paragon thing. We defeated Branka. Again, a lot of side quests that I haven't touched. We defeated Branka. Lots of things that could have happened here. She could have owned her, you know, ended her own life, or we could have joined forces with her. But while thinking about this, I realized that it was more of Algren's story, this, rather than Variax's. This was Algren's quest. and that's sort of how it panned out with him, I think. We didn't really want to use the anvil because we thought that was like too like dodgy, you know, a little bit like the undead almost, even though it wasn't because the dwarves were willing. But we destroyed the anvil anyway. Details are a little bit faded in my head. But as far as characters concerned, this was more like Algren's thing. This was all like, oh, Algren, you know, Algren and Branka type thing. And in the fight, Algren, you know, slew Branka. He got the final sort of like death blow against her, which I thought was very poetic at the end of it. I thought that fighting her was a very natural thing. She was very aggressive when we found her. Plus, she was completely polar opposites in terms of, you know, use the anvil or don't. Algren himself didn't really sort of have an opinion on the anvil as far as I can remember. He was more interested in the you know, personal connection that he had with this quest and with Branka than with finding the anvil. Although I do think, thinking about it, that he probably would have preferred to destroy it because that's what drove Branka over the edge and made him, you know, her leave him and everything like that. So I think that he would be pretty pleased that we did that. But of course, there may have been a line in there that I've forgotten because it was a long time ago that, you know, may have, you know, said something to the contrary. I'm not entirely sure. But as far as I'm concerned, he was happy with how we did that, and so that was more of Algren's thing than Variax's. You know, he was just there to facilitate the story, if you like. Okay, where are we now? The nature of the beast. Yes. Not that one, I've just done that one. So I think in Nature of the Beast, I did the best thing between these. You could have, you know, how did the Warden resolve the problems between the werewolves and the elves? We broke it a priest. We broke the curse, a decades-long curse, and the Dalish joined the Wardens against the Blight. I did get somebody here saying that it was the wrong choice, inverted commas, because this was what you needed to do. You have to side with the werewolves because the werewolves are the most powerful allies in the game, and that may well be true in terms of a gameplay perspective. You may also argue that, you know, if you don't get the best allies, then you might lose the Blight, and so there'll be no people at all left. So, you know, playing the sort of namby-pamby to the elves here might not be the best idea because, you know, with the werewolves, you could win the fight. If you don't win the fight, then there's no people anyway. Nevertheless, at the time, my character, my avatar, decided to try and reason with the guy who had the curse. And that worked pretty well, I think. We beat him in combat, and he saw the error of his ways, because the curse was affecting people that it didn't, you know, that had nothing to do with what happened way back. It's a decades-long curse, so I think it was the best choice from like a moral standpoint. It was, you know, what my character was sort of pushing for and everything. He's a good guy. He doesn't like seeing people get hurt, you know. So that did seem like the best choice. Then we come to the Ilans Me, which is one of my favourite parts of the game. Honora did indeed rule there. I'm going to sort of like go into the Alistair thing a bit here, because we had Alistair fight Loghain in the duel, and that was really nice for him, I think. That was his story completed. He came full circle there, because I think he had more investment against Loghain than Variax did. Variax was quite new to the Grey Wardens. He hadn't known Duncan as long. Although, you know, thinking about it, maybe Alistair was sort of new to the Grey Wardens anyway, but not as new as Variax. And I think Alistair was a lot more keen to be a Grey Warden than Variax was anyway. Variax was just like, you know, he had to be. He was conscripted and that was it. If you remember, the Circle Tower, way back, he was a little bit reluctant, whereas Alistair was like, yes, I'm a Grey Warden, it's the best thing ever type thing. So yes, to have him fight Loghain and kill him, sort of like, you know, avenged Duncan's death, pretty much, which I really liked. It did sort of spoil our plans for who would be king and queen, but that, yeah, that came later. So when it actually came to, you know, choosing between them, going back to this, I chose Honora. Tough call, because Alistair was, you know, people said Alistair would make a fine king and everything, and he was destined to rule by bloodline. But I picked Honora because she was experienced, she wanted the job, she would have learned from her father about how power can corrupt and you just shouldn't be too, like, you know, mad and stuff like that. And it did seem to be a good, you know, the best thing. Plus, Alistair didn't want to be king. That was a big factor as well. Alistair remained a Grey Warden, and I think that was the best for him. He enjoyed being a Grey Warden. That was how he found his identity. He was happiest being a Grey Warden, and so that's what we did there. Alright, and that was the end of that. So, we can now go into Companions and Stone Prisoner. No one was romanced in the Let's Play. Nobody at all. Liliana, kind of, we were so close. So close to romancing Liliana, but it never happened. And I quite liked that, honestly. I like the fact that, you know, they definitely liked each other. There was definitely something there, you know, maybe a couple of lingering looks across the campfire at night sort of thing, but nothing actually happened. Another time, another place, without a blight happening, without them being Grey Wardens, something might have happened between them. But it never did. They had to focus on the job at hand. And despite a lot of flirting and getting along and singing, we never romanced Liliana. Which I quite liked, honestly, at the end of it, you know. I didn't want too much of a cliche ending with it. Yes, we survived, and yes, it was a happy ending, and we defeated the Blight and everything, but he never got the girl, and I think that in the end, too much had transpired between them. They'd been through too much, and Liliana just had to leave, you know. At the end, Verax was like, you want me to come with me? And she was like, no, I've got to go on my own, sort of thing. So that was that. A bit of sort of closure there as well for the characters. It did end with it ending. Too much had happened, and you know, I do like that. Less cliche. There was that pseudo romance, but it never really happened. Also, the thing with Morrigan and the baby, the romance may have altered that. It may not have. It may have made it a little more complicated. But because I wasn't in romance, it made accepting Morrigan's offer a little bit easier. But I think that's coming up just in a bit. We gotta go in companions again. Sorry. We recruited the dog, as I said before. Despite leaving him in Ostagar, he came anyway because we got the healing herbs and stuff like that. So I remember. Logan executed Alistair. We've already covered that. We didn't free Sten. This is a major thing. I think this is where I lost a lot of people in the Let's Play, because they were like, yeah, okay, he didn't help the dog, but you got him anyway, fair enough. This is a major sort of point in the Let's Play. Quite early on, part 20 or 30 or something. So we're still, you know, it's a couple of hours. Quite a few hours, in fact. I think it was around there anyway. And this is where my character didn't free Sten. Because as I say, this was just after Ostagar, you know, maybe a couple of days after Ostagar, we had a major shock to the system. Not only have we been thrust from the Circle Tower into a world that is unfamiliar to us, with a bunch of people we don't know, we've just been in a pitched battle that we've lost, we've been double-crossed, barely escaped with our lives, we're outlaws, loads of stuff going on, and then we're like, well, you know, this guy is stuck in a cage, he's a murderer, he's like, you know, 7 foot tall, 300 pounds. Do I want to free this guy and have him come with us? My character says no. I don't. I'm not in that sort of frame of mind where I want to take that sort of risk. I want people around me that I can trust, that I can rely on. So we've got Liliana shortly, you know, we've got Alistair, we've got Morrigan, who's sort of like sent with us. I don't think we really have a choice with that, but you know, her mother saved us, so, you know, we can sort of like vaguely trust her. And she speaks. This guy is just like, yes, you know, I killed a family. That's great, dude. You can stay there. So as far as Varys is concerned, even though he's a Grey Warden, he must, you know, this was one of the major points people made, you know, he must recruit everybody against the Blight. At this stage, he was terrified still, you know, he was just as get with his life. He was, you know, like, what is going on? I need to get my head together. I need to think. This guy was not going to help that. This was just another wild card who could have, you know, just killed them all in his sleep. I mean, he could have done. This behemoth here who was, you know, so stoic and unrepentant. You know, he didn't beg, he didn't. And yes, I understand that he is a very in-depth character once you get to know him. But at that stage, as I've said, my character wasn't really in the mood for taking such a big risk of such a big guy who, you know, was obviously a killer for whatever reason. He didn't want to go there. So if it wasn't clear in the LP, that is why I didn't take him. It just didn't really fit with what was going on with Variax's head, the whole situation, everything like that. Yes, he could have made a stalwart ally. He could also have been a terrible enemy who we could have fought, you know, in the middle of the night after he tried to attack us. You know, you never know. You never know if, you know, acting in character, that could have happened. So no Sten. So no Sten, no Sten, no Sten. Algren. Let's talk about Algren. We met him in the Deep Roads, and he is one of my favourite characters. I will say that the writing for this character, probably entirely underrated, and probably like maybe the best of any of the characters, because you laugh at him. You know, he is the comic relief. He is the, you know, he burps, he drinks a lot, he is your typical dwarf, and yet under the surface there's a lot going on, and you know there's a lot going on, even though he doesn't really talk about it that much. You know the stuff with Branka and everything, and when he gets drunk, he sort of mentions that all the other woman, I can't remember her name, I do apologize, but yeah, it's all going on in there in his head, but he keeps it hidden away, and you know it's there, so you know there's more to him, which is why you like him. He's not just the comic relief, he's not just the dwarf who drinks and belches and smashes heads. Even though that is 90% of his character, there's stuff in there, but you never get to know what it is. I think that's why you have so much affection for him, is that, you know, he's got so much going on there, but you never find out what it is, and it's really, really a credit to the writing that they pulled that off. It's really, really, really good. So well done to the writers of Algren. And great character. Really, really liked him. Zevran. I did get called a hypocrite for recruiting Zevran after I left Sten. Though there are vast differences, I will say, and fight my case here between the two. Sten was a towering Hulk who was unrepentant and stoic and accepted his fate. Throughout the entire Let's Play, my character never once killed a person who was unarmed, who was begging for their lives, or anything like that. Which is exactly what Zevran was. Yes, he was an assassin who was sent to kill us. We subdued him, and then suddenly this guy's like, oh, please, I'll join you. So the choices are basically, let him join, let him go, or kill him. Well, I don't want my character to be a killer. I think that was one of those things that I sort of decided pretty early on, is that if anyone's begging for their lives, he, you know, he wasn't going to kill them, be they a slaver or an assassin or whatever. He wasn't going to do it. I didn't want to let him go though, either, because then he could go back to Loghain, or, you know, he could try again or whatever. So I took him under my wing, if you like. Well, I just kept an eye on him. So I brought him into the group. Don't forget that after this stage, you know, a bit more has happened since we've encountered Sten, and so we're a little bit more confident, a little bit more willing to take risks. I think we might have a better sort of like party base than what we did back in Lothering, and so I've got people around me I can trust. I've got Liliana, I've got Alistair, so I can afford to take Zevran and see what happens. Better have him with me where I can see him than, you know, send him away and he might try again or whatever. Plus, you know, he could have offered some insight into who hired him and whatever. He didn't, but he could have, possibly. Although I think he did say that he couldn't when you actually, you know, when he was begging for his life and everything. But anyway, between the choices of kill him, let him go, or recruit him, I picked the third option. And I think that was a massive difference to Sten. In terms of like where we are and the situation between it, what to do with it, you know. But Zevran died because Zevran double-crossed us. We didn't really get along with Zevran that well. We were very different people, Variax and Zevran, and eventually it did show. Yes, I did waste a lot of booze on him when I should have been giving it to Algren, but I didn't have Algren at that point, and I didn't know Zevran well enough to know what he liked. So, because of that misunderstanding with, you know, obviously as a player, but, you know, you could say as a character as well, we didn't really get what Zevran was about. And there was never really that connection between, you know, Variax and Zevran. So when it came down to it, when we were in Denerim and we encountered the Crows again, Zevran's bond to the Crows was greater than it was to the Grey Wardens, and so he attacked us, which led to one of the toughest fights in the game because I wasn't ready for it. I had a nerf party of a mage, and a rogue against Zevran and a bunch of assassins, so I had to strip Zevran of all of his equipment in order to win that fight, which I wasn't very keen on doing, but I had to get through it. And so that's what happened there. And this is sort of very similar to Nathaniel, but we'll get into that. But yes, that was Zevran's little story. So it didn't end well, but it can't end well for everybody. And I do like that there was these little tales in the game that you know, double crosses and stuff like that, which you do get in stories, you know, in these sort of tales where characters double cross other characters and stuff like that. So it wasn't a perfect playthrough, and it's not a perfect world. So if I'd have really just like blitzed everything and done really well, then it would have been almost boring, I suppose, because we had a lot of success, but we also had our failures, and Zevran was one of them. But in that, there was its own little tale and story arc and closure at the end of it. Win, we had with us, and she insisted on joining us after we visited the circle. She was the mother of the group. I think she gave Variax a lot of base, a lot of, you know, grounded him a lot. She gave a lot of advice, which I think really helped him. She was also a stalwart member of the group, you know, a good healer and everything, good mage, as a gameplay sort of point of view. And she taught us a little bit about spirits as well, as opposed to demons. So that was neat as well. And yeah, she's alive and well, and she survived the blight and everything, so that's all hunky-dory. Alistair stayed with the Warden, as we can see there. And I think it was best for him. You know, he didn't become king, or any of the other things that can happen to him. He stayed with the Wardens at the end. I think that was what he was wanting, you know. That was that's what's familiar to him. So that's good. We didn't, of course, we weren't lovers, because, you know, we're both boys. And not inclined that way. And yeah, but we were good stalwart friends. We were friends throughout the entire thing, and in the end, I think that we both got what we wanted. Liliana's alive and well, which is a plus, obviously. And we didn't romance her, but we had a... Come over here. That thing, anyway. The god baby. Morrigan had a god baby with the Warden. Yeah, this was right at the end of the sort of main game, where we're going into battle against the Archdemon, and suddenly we learn, oh yeah, by the way, if you kill the Archdemon, you're going to die. And that was like an, oh my god, what the hell sort of moment. You know, we come this far, we go through all this stuff, we gather our allies, trials and tribulations and quests coming out of our ears, leveling up, getting equipment and everything, and then, you know, boom, you know, we will win, but you're gonna die. Imagine your heart sinking at that point. And I was very, very glad that people got my choice there, because I was worried that you would say I was breaking character by using the blood magic involved within this ritual, if you like. But when faced with certain death, people's morals do tend to bend. If I was in a romance with Liliana, this choice would have been slightly more complicated, though I think I would probably have gone with it. But yeah, we had Morrigan's god baby. And you guys got that. You got that. You got the fact that, you know, Variax was human after all. He wanted to see light at the end of the tunnel after all this. And he saw a way out, and he took it. And yes, it involved blood magic, which he had used before, but this time he was directly in sort of like in contact with it. And lots of contact with it. Booyah! Sorry. But and yeah, we had the god baby. And that was good. You guys got that. I really liked that. But I think, you know, at that stage of the LP, people understood the character and everything, and so yeah, I really was sort of like glad that happened, that you guys understood that. We also acquired a grimoire by defeating Flemeth, one of the toughest fights in the game. And I think that brought Morrigan into the group a little bit more. At the start of the LP, Morrigan was sort of like standoffish. And indeed, Morrigan and my character never really got on. We were never really friends, never really close, but I think the respect was there. I don't think my character had actually encountered such a strong woman as Morrigan before, so he was a little bit, a little bit intimidated by her. But I think doing that quest earned us her trust and respect. And I think that helped her, you know, bring her into the group a little bit. We're almost done, guys. Only one thing left. Well, as far as this is concerned. The Stone Hunter, Shale. Didn't do this. Yes, this is actually quite relevant to other points. That happened. But we'll cover Shale first. I kind of brought character with this one, I gotta say, and nobody really picked up on it. Shale, a lot like Sten, was this hulking behemoth, very strong. Shale was actually passively aggressive to us, talking about squishing heads and stuff like that, talking about how sort of like pink and meaty we were. But I took her anyway, and I honestly think I brought character with this. I don't regret doing it because Shale was, you know, sort of like a very interesting sort of like variant in terms of gameplay. But the fact that I took her and not Sten did break character, and nobody mentioned this in the comments. I thought I'm going to get roasted for this, but it didn't happen. And I think it's because you guys wanted to see Shale as well. It was the old thing where I was, you know, playing the game. I hadn't had a new companion for a while, I think, and I just really wanted to take her. You know, the character really appealed to me, and so yeah, I brought it down and I took Shale, and it was a very nice sort of like thing to do, and to have her around and to do her quest with the Kadash Tig and all that. Yes, I know. Forgot about that, but yeah, we'll see. We brought character for, like, you know, probably the biggest instance of that. We did that. So I don't know what to think about that, really. But again, I don't really regret it because it was very nice having her along and stuff, and knowing her. But we had no control over her with the rod that we awoke her with, and so, you know. Although I suppose you could say, because I couldn't put her to sleep again, I might as well have her with me rather than wandering the countryside. So that's, you know, you can always argue things that makes it fit character. But in that state, I probably, honestly, if I was pretty early into the LP, wouldn't have woken her up. And again, you could say that my character was a lot more confident, that I felt that I could deal with Shale if you know, she did turn hostile and stuff. So you could argue that, but I think that, you know, it's very grey, very grey. Amalia is dead. Matthias is alive. Yes, this was the thing with the cat demon. Few things about this as well, because I got a few complaints about this, to be honest with you, about letting the child die. I didn't let the child die. I didn't know that by saying to the demon, "I don't want to talk to you," the child would instantly die. That's just something that happened. But if I had known that, I may have done it anyway. Throughout the entire LP, something that never changed in my character is that he didn't speak to demons. We do not negotiate with terrorists, and that is just something that he was ingrained in his head. Unlike with the blood magic as well, there was nothing at all throughout the entire game that told Variax any different about demons. Demons are bad, they're evil, and they will mess you up if they can. Whereas when I was forced to use blood magic, you could see it had some sort of warranted use in certain situations. Demons are evil bastards. So that was why he just was like, no, you got to get out of here, man. You know, I am going to deal with you. So sadly, that let the little girl die. But, you know, if that stopped the demon from killing other people, I'm just saying, you know. But anyway, yeah, that was something that my character never wavered on and didn't have a reason to. Okay. On to the expansions. Only 2 of them. This is the big one, though. Awakening. 2 major things. Well, we'll do Nathaniel first. Nathaniel is indeed alive and well. Nathaniel was a hell of a lot like Zevran in terms of the fact that we've captured him. He's got this... Well, Nathaniel had a bigger vendetta against us than Zevran, to be honest with you. Although I took him from a gameplay perspective because I wasn't sure when I was going to get another character, and I only had the two of us. To be honest with you, I'm glad I did, because it took a long time to get any other NPCs. Now I think he was our only rogue, or no, he wasn't. But the dwarf we got really, really late on. So from purely a gameplay perspective, I am glad that I took him. RP wise, we're in a very strong position at this point. You know, this is our keep. This is, you know, Sigil keep. Despite what this guy might think, these are all my men. These are my guys. I am the Warden commander. I am strong as heck. You know, I defeated an archdemon. I'm in dragon armor. I got, you know, a sword and shield and stuff. So I think I can handle Nathaniel. So we bring him into our flock, and he becomes probably one of our closest friends within the Awakening expansion, which is really nice to see. What a great way to sort of, like, you know, dispel the whole Zevran thing, if you like. We took him as a means to an end. We brought him into the Grey Wardens, and he proved his worth, you know. So he was sort of like Zevran the Second, if you like, in terms of, you know, the fact that he had, you know, something to prove to us, if you like. Zevran didn't, but Nathaniel certainly did, and he, in the end, he basically got what he wanted. He got his home back, and he was wrong about, you know, how he viewed his father, and eventually he wasn't pig-headed enough to you know, not see that. So I really like this character. Sure, I couldn't use him a little bit more, but I use him plenty, and yeah, I just really like the fact that, you know, we kept Nathaniel and that he became proper Grey Warden and everything was fine and dandy. So we protected. I know, we'll do this one first. Kill the Architect. A few debates about this as well in the comments. Very interesting choice. The Architect needed Grey Warden blood in order to reverse the curse, if you like, that was on Darkspawn. My character decided that was ridiculous. There are thousands and thousands of Darkspawn everywhere, and even if you do manage to cure all of them of their affliction, there's still Darkspawn. It's not like they can just come to the surface and everyone's like, yeah, you know, they're Darkspawn. You know, they've killed people, and so they can't really integrate with society anyway. So they'll be they'll have to stay underground, and people won't like them, and it's basically the same as before. So I decided to kill him. The sheer amount of blood that he needed was ridiculous in order to do this, and people in the comments were like, no, he needs a little bit of blood. No, he doesn't. He needs loads and loads and loads of blood, and you know, I can't really see the logistics of it happening very well. It's like, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a pint, we see how we go. Nah, you know, he's gonna be greedy, he's gonna want more, and he'll be like, make more Grey Wardens, and you know, and then it's gonna be like a blood farm, and you know, is that better? I don't see it. And then at the end of it, you get this race that's like still Darkspawn. They're still, I wouldn't say evil, but they're not as evil, I suppose. But they still have issues with, you know, the dwarves and everything. The dwarves are going to be like, well, Darkspawn must die. You know, it'll take generations and generations and generations to remove the stigma of what Darkspawn are. So I didn't see it panning out very well, honestly. It was a wild, wacky, crazy idea, and Rex didn't like it. No. Here. This is where Verex comes of age. This is the point where he's been a Grey Warden rookie, led a small group, and now he is the Warden Commander. And we come across this major call. Do we go into the city, try and save those people who are there? In doing so, risk ourselves, delay us getting back to the keep, risk the keep, and thus risk the entire war? Or do we burn the city down, kill everybody in it, cleanse it clean, go back to the keep, and defend that, and win the war? So of course we decided the latter. Our companions all wanted the other one. They were like, no, we can't just burn the city, it stood for ages, and there are maybe people in there and everything. But no, he was stalwart. He said, no, this is what we're going to do. This is where he was he became the commander. All of his, you know, hardened experience shone through at this point. This was a really, really major tough call, and he made it. I was a bit annoyed at the game for not giving me more information here. Felt it was a bit rushed. Are there people in the city? Are they contracted by the blight? You know, would it take us very long to do the city? All these were sort of hanging in the air, and there was too many question marks over it. Yes, I've spent a lot of time upgrading my keep, though I think that's the perfect reason to defend it. You know, rather than leaving it to be overrun because we're not there, let's, you know, put all our eggs in one basket, defend the keep, win the war, you know, win the battle, and then we can proceed rather than fighting two areas at once. Wipe the Darkspawn out in Denerim, so that's that taken care of. And then rather than having a force at our back and at the keep, you know, we'll just fight at the keep. It worked. Can't argue it worked. It didn't work because it did. It did. We got there. We defended the keep. And to be honest with you, the way that sort of the keep battle was going, they were like, oh my god, they're everywhere. It did sound like they needed us. But yes, we did that. And whether it be the right choice or not, and you know, immoral or not, that is what our character decided to do. That was his time to shine as the commander, going, you know, against everything that everybody was like telling him, saying, no, his emotional pleas, like, we have to save Amaranthine. But we're like, no, we're going to stay at the keep. And that's what he decided to do. So that was his last sort of like act, if you like, of role-playing this, by the fact, apart from the Warden thing, sorry, the architect thing, that you know, he did this. That was what he decided. He was the commander, and that is what he did. And finally, as we come to the end of this little video, Witch Hunt, where we didn't go through the Illuvian, because we didn't romance Morrigan, basically. We know we have a son, at least, so that's good. But yeah, that ended pretty suddenly. And left more questions than answers, to be honest with you. Whether they'll be answered within Dragon Age 2 or Dragon Age Inquisition, I'm not sure, though we will find out eventually. So that's that. I don't know how long that was. Probably, I can check, actually. 47 minutes, way too long. I am going to go now because that was ridiculous. I spent far too long witching about that. But I hope that gave you some insight and some, you know, some understanding about why I made some of the choices that I did. I think that I did alright, to be honest with you. Apart from the Shale thing, I don't think I massively broke character, and you could even argue with the Shale thing I didn't, because I was more powerful, more, you know, confident and everything. But yeah, I think I did alright. And obviously you guys must have, you know, be semi-agreeing with that because you're still here listening to me wittering after so many hours of this game. Fantastic game. Loved all of it. Thought it was great. Had my misgivings with the interface and some of the AI, but all in all, absolutely brilliant. So, thank you very much, BioWare, for making it. Thank you all for watching it, and hopefully you will see me in my next Let's Play. So, for the very last time, and it is this time, that was Dragon Age Origins, the Director's Cut overview thing. My name is Verex, and I'll see you next time. Toodaloo.